the Bible and learning how and why God created and His creative nature. And God didn't create mediocre things. God created things that were good, even very good. This week we'll explore the early chapters of Genesis and the goodness of God's creation, including us. Today we're going to create something. Nothing in particular, just whatever your imagination comes up with. During the next few minutes, pick out some of the supplies that are laid out in front of you. Find a work area and see what you can come up with. Now you won't be judged, just be creative. See what your creative abilities can come up with. And have fun. Every great story has a fascinating beginning. The Bible's no different. The first book of the Bible is called Genesis, and that very word means the beginning. And today we're going to start at the beginning of the scripture and read how God created everything from absolutely nothing. As we read, consider what it would have been like to be there, to witness the beginning of it all. So take some time as a group to read Genesis 1, verses 1 through 31. In the beginning, God created. Could there be a better start? As we read these opening words of the Bible, we immediately encounter God's creative nature. We see that at the very start. God's creation was good. Think about God's creativity. God created everything out of nothing and created such an intricate, delicate balance. God created some amazing things and saw that it was good. We create things and sometimes it's good and sometimes it isn't. But God looked at His work and He was pleased at how it came out. It was good. How do beautiful things in nature point you to God's creativity? And how do we as humans reflect God's creativity? Take some time as a group to review these questions. Psalm 148:5 says, "Let every created thing give praise to the Lord, for He issued His command and they came into being." God's creation is so good that it's praiseworthy. Throughout the process of creation, God stopped and commented how it was good. That statement shows joy and celebration in what God brought into existence. God was pleased with the world that He formed and all the good things in it. Before humans, God described things as good. But after humans, He said it was very good. Now, today we began the group by creating things. Now, as you created things, how did you feel about your work? As you looked around and looked at others' works, what did you think? How would you define what the word good is? In these next couple of minutes, I'd like you to discuss these next two questions. How do you determine if something is good? And the second question is, look at verse 31. Why is it significant that God didn't call His creation very good until after He created humans? Now, Genesis says that we were not spoken into existence like the rest of creation. From the beginning, God interacted with us differently. God breathed life into us. God formed us with His hands, and God created us in His image. Nothing else in creation has that privilege. You were created in the image of God, the God who creates good things, and you are one of those good things God created. Why do you think it's significant that Genesis says humans were created differently from other creatures? Take some time to discuss that with your group. We were created by a God who creates good things. As we'll see in the second lesson of this series, Satan's goal is to corrupt the good and introduce sin into the world. But God's true intent has beauty, uniqueness, and intimacy of how humans were created. What are some ways we can focus on this truth? The truth that we are created in God's image and that He said it's very good, when the circumstances, when the world around us makes us feel otherwise. When we read Genesis, we immediately encounter God's creative nature, and we see that from the very start. God's creation was good. And while Jesus isn't mentioned by name, we know that from such passages like John 1, that He was there in the beginning, and He desires to restore that broken relationship that we have with God. I hope you can have an appreciation for all of the creation around you, and also understand that Jesus has been there from the very beginning, pursuing a relationship with you. He was there with God. He knew everything that went into making you. He knows everything about you, and He wants to have a true, meaningful, deep, intimate relationship with you. You guys are so loved and cared for. Take some time to talk some more and close in prayer in your small group. Remember, no matter what's going on in your life, in your school, at home, that doesn't change who you are and who God created you to be. God does not create garbage. He made you and said you are very good. Until next week, God bless you guys. Peace.